threat. All these are red flags that should galvanize us into action to preempt the worst case scenario. The question we should be asking is, what can we do? The best option is prevention, ensuring that those who have not used drugs do not start, and that those at early stages are prevented from becoming habitual users. There is no better time than now to take prevention seriously. The reality around us is a strong indication, indeed a wake-up call, for us as parents, stakeholders, and government to step up preventive measures. As underlined by the 2023 World Drug Report, I quote, early prevention is crucial, and governments must invest more in education to build resilience and give young people the information they need to make healthy, smart choices about their lives, unquote. For our nation, prevention is particularly critical as we are already grappling with a serious challenge. 7 years ago, we came to the stark realization that Nigeria had one of the highest drug abuse prevalence rates in the world. According to the 2018 National Drug Use Survey, 14.4% of our compatriots aged 15 to 64 were using drugs. With 14.3 million people abusing drugs, our national prevalence rate was nearly 3 times the global average of 5.6%. Just think about that. 14.3 million individuals, that's equivalent to the entire population of some countries. We had 10.6 million cannabis users alone. 10.6 million on cannabis alone, a number greater than the population of several countries in Africa, Europe, and Asia. And crucially, that data is from 7 years ago. Today, with a population exceeding 230 million, it is both urgent and pragmatic to prevent new individuals from being drawn in. Stakeholders and leaders, we must be more vigilant and recognize that the issue of drug abuse is not distant. It is close to home. We must acknowledge that children are especially vulnerable, and we should not dismiss experimentation with illicit drugs as behavior limited to a particular demographic. As parents, we must acknowledge that our children need better attention and care for illicit drugs. Similarly, we must also acknowledge that the ubiquity of the media and its pervasive influence scheme, families, workplaces, and institutions. Having a drug test kit at home gives families the opportunity for early detection in case children have started experimenting with illicit substances. These kits are available in all our state commands at modest rates. Our drug integrity tests, a policy we have pushed since 2021, has gained traction, with several universities incorporating it into their admission processes, particularly for new and returning students. Some government institutions have also adopted it as part of their standard procedures. As more people understand how drug abuse undermines national development, we hope this will lead to broader acceptance, and through prevention, we can stem the tides of this corrosive trend. Addressing the socioeconomic drivers of drug abuse is also crucial as a prevention. The renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration is a major boost as it provides leverage to tackling such critical factors as poverty and unemployment. Initial structures and implements for the attainment of national food security. Initiatives like NELFON, which offers student loans, and programs like the 3 million views. We in the NDLEA commend the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration for these important initiatives. Final analysis, however, much responsibility rests on parenting. So we should be looking at how to empower those invested with the role of parenting. Through our War Against Drug Abuse, WADA advocacy campaign, we work with parents, teachers, and leaders in communities, institutions, and associations to spread awareness and teach how to safeguard younger generations. And I'm sure in the video that was shown earlier, you saw officers and men at work. Our family support advocacy emphasizes that children don't just need money, they need the presence and voice of their parents and guardians. Parents must ask questions, dig deeper, and instill values. I dare not go to sleep at night until they are sure their children have come back from their outings, entered their rooms, and gone to sleep. We have had incidents of parents murdered by their children who are on drugs. Teachers also play a crucial role. They are deeply influential in shaping character and instilling values during the school years. The Unplugged program has now expanded from a pilot in 3 states operating in at least 10. The national curriculum now includes topics on drug abuse and protect young minds. Our advocacy efforts under the WADA campaign continue to gain momentum. Every week across Nigeria, our 36 state commands with the FCT and 14 zonal commands engaged in WADA outreach, raising awareness in schools, offices, religious centers, communities, motor parks, and markets. We educate the public about the dangers of drug abuse and how to escape its grip. In recent years, many non-governmental organizations have joined NDLEA in partnership to broaden the reach of WADA advocacy. We have organized 11,123 sensitization programs and communities, while millions have been reached through our various robust weekly media engagements. This is in addition to thousands more who have benefited from the psychosocial support services provided through our 24/7 call center on our toll-free helpline 100 10 20 30 40. Our free helpline is 0800 10 20 30 40. We expect of our reach out advocacy will be multiplied when we commission our very own NDLEA radio station before the end of this year, by the grace of God. At the same time, we have ramped up treatment and rehabilitation efforts with 30 and rehabilitated 26,393 persons. Thanks to the support of Mr. President, 7 new rehabilitation centers that we run to 37, 1 per state and the FCT. That will broaden access to treatment. Distinguished guests, ladies, drugs remains open and easy. Put simply, while we work strategically to prevent individuals from initiating drug use, we must simultaneously shut down the pipeline through which these harmful substances are distributed. We must remove traffickers and drugs from the equation, deploying every resource at our disposal towards law enforcement. Over the past 4.5 years, we have over 66,000 offenders for identified drug barons. Our operation, called Offensive Action, has yielded tangible results in time frame, including life sentences, as well as the chairmen and members of the agency. Similarly, and the governments of the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, India, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and France. Thank you for your continued and meaningful support. Our operational capabilities have been significantly enhanced through collaboration with relevant ministries, departments, and agencies, and we must recognize the Office of National Security Advisor, Armed Forces of Nigeria, EFCC, ICPC, Nigeria Police, Department of State Services, NIA, Immigration Service, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Nigeria Customs Service, NACA, NAFDAC, NFIU, among others. We thank you very much. Our appreciation also goes to our supervising minister, Honorable the Attorney General of the Federation, Minister of Justice, the Solicitor General, Director of Public Prosecution. As the Office of the Secretary of Government of the Federation is an umbrella to all the ministries, departments, and agencies, we are very appreciative of the support that we are receiving from that esteemed office. We are also thankful to MTN Foundation that has been our partner every year, and they have remained committed towards this fight against drug abuse. We thank the many individuals and organizations whose names it is through these partnerships and support networks that we find the hope and strength to fulfill our mandate, to keep our society and the world at large safe from the scourge of illicit drugs. As we gather today, let us reaffirm our commitment to the goal of a world where drug abuse and trafficking no longer endanger the lives and futures of our young people. And let us renew our resolve to intensify prevention efforts in the year ahead. Thank you for listening.
As he steps down, can we appreciate him one more time? Thank you very much. Congratulations for a job well done. I'd like to welcome Mohammed Bello, who's representing the DG of NIA. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please, I would like to appeal that those who are coming for goodwill messages will restrict their timing to 3 minutes, if possible, because our special guest of honor, the representative of His Excellency the President, is pressed for time. He has too many activities to attend to. So let me kick off the goodwill messages now as I welcome the representative of the Ministry of Health. Thank you, Mrs. Henrietta. As you step forward there, thank you very much. 3 minutes.
the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, ably represented by the Secretary to Government of Federation, Senator George Akwe, members of the National Assembly, senators of House Assembly, the CEO and Chairman NDLEA, UNODC, guest speaker, organized private sector, representative of service chiefs, MTN, diplomatic corps, our dear gentlemen. I want to bring you greetings from the Honorable Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, the Permanent Secretary, Kacholom Daju SMNI, and the Head of Food and Drug Services Division. It is an honor to deliver this goodwill on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare at today's commemoration of the United Nations International Day against drug abuse and illicit trafficking. We sincerely thank NDLEA for the invitation and for its unwavering partnership in Nigeria's drug control response. The theme, the evidence is clear, invest in prevention, reflects the ministry's commitment to a public health approach to drug control anchored on compassion, science, and prevention. The ministry, with the support of development partners, currently implements key harm reduction services, including HIV and hepatitis, C screening, condom distribution, needle and syringe, naloxone distribution, and a medication assisted treatment. Currently ongoing, there's a pilot now in Gombe among the selected states. There's hope to cascade to the whole country as time goes on in due course. To support the recovery and integration of drug users, we have 11 federal tertiary health institutions that provide treatment and rehabilitation services alongside the 30 NDLEA counseling centers. While over 2,500 persons have accessed treatment since 2015, we know it's a small figure, but efforts are ongoing to reduce the access barriers. The ministry also leads evidence-driven planning through the Nigeria Epidemiology Network on Drug Use, as we call NENDU. This coordinates the National Technical Working Group on harm reduction to support policy and implementation. In partnership still with NDLEA, it promotes state and local government levels ownership with community engagement in drug prevention and rehabilitation. To this press briefing yesterday to commemorate the day, a lot of discussions were held, and the call to action was for a need for. So with all of us here, this is for us to stay tuned, for all of us to be engaged in that national summit, whereby we all come together and work out the roadmap, the work plan, assign responsibilities, track implementation, and see how we can curb this menace. To that end also, the ministry urges increased in and community because it affects the society through the parents, community, society, through the parents, community, leaders, parents, and so on and so forth. All hands. At this moment, we want to urge and suggest and recommend that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu be declared a national champion and an ambassador in the fight against drug and substance abuse. We believe that this move will reinforce.
Thank you very much, Ministry of Health. I still want to appeal for us to make the goodwill messages as short as possible. Let me welcome here the DG of NACA, Dr. Temitope Ilori. I welcome you for your goodwill message. Okay, how about the representative of Federal Ministry of Education?
Good morning, Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented, and our chief host, the CEO of NDLEA. I was actually taken by surprise when I was called. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, because my invite did not say I was going to give a goodwill message, but I want to stand on the existing protocol and to congratulate the NDLEA for this year's United Nations International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking. The evidence is indeed clear, and as an agency, National Agency for the Control of AIDS, we are very conscious of the association between illicit drug use and the incidence of HIV/AIDS. Data statistics have shown us that people who use drugs, injections, injectable drugs, and even non-injectable drugs have a higher prevalence of HIV/AIDS for the simple reason that it leads to inhibition and, of course, the sharing of needles and syringes and other contacts with blood and other body fluids. So we have been working very closely with the National NDLEA agencies and other stakeholders, the armed forces, and of course, the Ministry of Health and other sister agencies to curb this menace, because as been told to us, is very much prevalent among our youth, the young people who are the future of tomorrow. So we are continuing, we pledge our support and our commitment to continue to work with the NDLEA to ensure that Nigeria, reduces this, changes this narrative and reduces this menace that is actually a big embarrassment to us all. Thank you all and happy celebrations. Thank you.
Because she stuck to the 2 minutes, let's make her applause double. Thank you, Dr. Ilori. The representative of Minister of Education, please. Okay. Please, I understand I need to now welcome an address by the Attorney General of the Federation, Prince Lateef Fagbemi SAN, here represented. Please, can we have representative of the Attorney General of the Federation?
Good afternoon, sirs. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to stand on already established protocols. The Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice is unable to be here this afternoon due to demands of urgent state matters. He sends his apology. I represent him and I shall read his remarks. I wish to express my profound appreciation for your gracious invitation to the commemoration of the 2025 International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, also known as the World Drug Day. As you well know, the prevention of cultivation, manufacture, processing, sale, trafficking, and use of hard drugs is one of the cardinal thrusts of this administration, and my office has continued to work closely with the enforcement agencies to ensure that all relevant laws to stem the circulation of illicit drugs and traffickers are effectively implemented. This includes the investigation and prosecution of persons suspected to have dealings in illicit drugs. As Nigeria continues to battle with the growing involvement of its citizens in the production, distribution, use, and abuse of illicit drugs and substances, the onus is on stakeholders involved with the tide through collaborative approach to ensure prevention of illicit drug use. The thrust of this year's World Drug Day, the evidence is clear. invest in prevention, break the cycle, stop organized crime, is therefore apt. This year's theme speaks directly to the need for urgent measures to be taken to address this global challenge and to shift our focus from a reactive approach to evidence-based prevention strategies while dismantling the criminal networks that profit from human suffering. The 26th of June of every year has been set aside by the international community to reaffirm our collective commitment to combat the complex and evolving challenges posed by illicit drug use and trafficking. Drug abuse is not just a public health crisis, it is a threat to our national security, social stability, and economic development. Drug abuse and trafficking fuels organized crime, undermines the rule of law, and destroys the hope and future of our young people, our most precious national assets. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence is indeed clear that investing in prevention of illicit drug cultivation and trafficking works. Studies consistently show that early intervention, education, family support, and community resilience are among the most cost-effective and impactful tools in reducing drug demand and associated crime. Furthermore, there is need for government to invest in preventive mechanisms. This includes addressing the root causes that drive individuals towards substance abuse, empowering communities, educating our youth, and fostering resilience against the allure of drugs. Prevention efforts must be integrated into our educational system, healthcare services, and criminal justice programs. The federal government is committed to tackling the drug has put in place several drug control frameworks and instruments, including action plans and strategies with the overall aim to significantly reduce the prevalence of production, trafficking, sales, and use of illicit drugs, and its attendant social, economic, and health implications. One major vital reason for the enactment of the national and international policies is to ensure that treatment, rehabilitation, and reintegration programs are made available and accessible to drug users and addicts. I also recognize the critical role the justice system plays, particularly in supporting prevention, ensuring accountability, and protecting our communities. The justice sector must go beyond prosecution and punishment of offenders, but also include fairness, rehabilitation, and the protection of lives. Therefore, our commitment must be multidimensional as we continue to review and update our drug control laws to reflect global best practices and human rights standards, ensuring that we treat substance use as a health issue while targeting the perpetrators of organized crime, which is geared towards increasing awareness on drug abuse and its attendant consequences. I congratulate the NDLEA on its achievements so far in this regard, and I admonish you not to relent in your efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, the fight against drug abuse and trafficking is not one the government alone can win. We need families, schools, faith-based institutions, media, and civil society as allies in prevention. We must empower our young people with the knowledge, skills, and opportunities to choose a different path, a path of hope, health, and purpose. Let us all act together to break the cycle and invest in drug-free future. Thank you and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
You know, listening to the representative of the Attorney General, The evidence is clear that he's a gentleman, very soft-spoken. Let's put our hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. And so, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me invite here the man that the chairman of NDLEA called a brother for what he is doing with his organization to support the work of NDLEA. The country rep of the UNODC, I'd like to welcome him, Sheikh Usmani Traore.
Good morning, His Excellency, the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, ably represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, His Excellency Senator George Akume. Allow me to stand on the excellent protocol established by my big brother, the chairman of NDLA, General Ahmed Duba Marwa. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to join the government and the people of Nigeria today commemorate the International Day against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, aka World Drug Day. In a few moments, I will be reading the message of the UN Secretary General. Before I commence, it is important to highlight and emphasize the criticality of addressing drug issues in Nigeria. With a national drug use prevalence of 14.4%, nearly 3 times the global average, and with over 3 million people in Nigeria suffering from drug use disorder, with the challenge in accessing healthcare facilities that meet barely 2% of the needs, the toll of drug use is significant and growing. Particularly alarming is the 9.2% HIV prevalence among people who inject drugs and the still limited access to evidence-based treatment services. This is not just a health crisis. It is a development, security, and peace-building concern. We are seeing rising rates of substance use across Nigeria and Africa, particularly among adolescents and young adults. There is a projected estimated of a 40% increase in the number of people reporting drug use by 2030. The drive, addiction, school dropouts, mental health crisis, family breakdown, and criminality vulnerability. The statistics are sobering, but beyond the numbers are human lives. Right path and community destabilized. This year's World Drug Day called for investment in prevention, including justice, education, healthcare, and alternative livelihoods. The building blocks of sustainability. Most critically, we must involve the subnational, the state governments must be actively involved in drug control efforts, working with NDLEA and other relevant entities to ensure the availability of evidence-based prevention and treatment programs in their states. We will not make significant progress if intervention continues to be centralized. Let's be clear. Prevention, treatment, and recovery are not luxuries. They are luxuries. They are life savings investments. Together, we can organize crime and marginalization. And together, we can build a safer, healthier, and more hopeful Nigeria. Allow me now to read the message of the Secretary General to celebrate the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking on this date, on this date, 26 June 20, claiming lives, ravaging public health services, and more dangerous and more deadlier than ever. Meanwhile, criminal networks prey on the most right and prevention as the most essential strategy for halting the flow of drugs that fuel organized crime worldwide. We must reduce demand through investing in education, treatment, harm reduction measures, and care. Target the machinery of production by eliminating illicit laboratories and offering farmers viable alternatives and sever trafficking networks with strengthening global trade routes and choking the financial flows of criminal networks, while always ensuring we respect human rights. Let's recommit to ending drug abuse and trafficking, uniting to dismantle abuse and trafficking, uniting to dismantling criminal networks, and bring on destruction once for all. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome here the representative or the Senate President. Please welcome here the Senior Senator Ibrahim Hassan Kakwabo.
Your Excellency, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as ably represented by His Excellency Senator George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Let me, Your Excellency, stand on the already established protocol. I am bringing well wishes from the President of the Senate, who is unavoidably absent and has asked me to represent him. So with your permission, I read his speech, Your Excellencies. The title is The Fight for the Soul of the Nation. Speech by the President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio, GCON, on the occasion of the 2025 United Nations International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking. It is with a profound sense of duty and honor that I arrive to address you on this solemn and vital occasion, the United Nations International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking. This is not a mere date upon a calendar, call that is urgent and insistent for all men and women of conscience to rise and rally against the conference hall. No, it is a sermon to act, a declaration that in the face of advancing peril, we must not merely respond, we must resist. Prevention is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is not strategy alone, but salvation. Upon it rests the fate of our youth, the stability of our families, and the endurance of our nation. Let me begin by saluting the brave men and women of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLE, under the firm and unflinching leadership of your chairman. You have stood not in ease or comfort, but in peril and persistence, striking blows against the dark threats of narcotics. You have held the lines where others must have faltered. For this, you have not only earned your respect, you have earned your place in the defense of our nation. But let us speak plainly. This war cannot be won by enforcement alone. We cannot outspace the epidemic with handcuffs and courtrooms. The traffickers are ruthless, their networks vast, their motives cold, and yet they flourish not in strength but in our neglect. They thrive in the shadows we fail to light, in the classrooms that lie empty, the hospitals that stand underfunded, the households bought by poverty and despair. Herein lies the truth. Drug abuse does not begin with the drug. It begins with hopelessness. It begins where dreams die, where dignity is eroded, and where young people are left to believe there is nothing worth fighting for. So what must we do? The Senate is set to create the legal environment for the government to continue to invest not just in dollar and naira, but in determination. We must rebuild the rampart of our society from the ground up with education that inspires rather than bore, with health care that heals not only the body but the mind, with opportunity that lives rather than abandons, with leadership that listens and does not lecture. To the youth of Nigeria, let no one deceive you into believing your life is expendable. You are not the dead tutors of this nation. You are its inheritor, its architect, and its torchbearer. Choose the choose the path of purpose over the pit of addiction. You are not alone. We stand with you and we fight for you. To the parents, teachers, guardians, and spiritual leaders, we must guard ourselves with resolve. It is not enough to hope for better days. We must shape them. We must speak the truth into the lives of our children. We must set the standard by our example. And to my colleagues in government, I say this. Our duty does not end with the passage of legislation or the flourish of rhetoric. It is not enough to draft, we must deliver them. Funds for prevention must not be lost to bureaucracy or buried in red tapeism. Members must appear in classrooms, in clinics, and in communities. Let us look beyond our border. This is a global evil, and it must be met with global alliances. Intelligence must be shared, supply chains severed, and while network of illicit commerce must be broken in every country, in every continent. Ladies and gentlemen, necessity. Every life lost to addiction, is not just a tragedy, it is a failure of our collective will. Every young Nigerian drawn into this abyss is a call to arms. Let us not drift quietly into defeat. Let us not become numb to the ruin around us. Let us rise. Let us fight. Let us rebuild. Together, shoulder to shoulder, we can carve a new path. A Nigeria where our children grow free from this club. A Nigeria where prevention is not a slogan, but a sacred duty. A Nigeria where every citizen is equipped.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we will adjust our program a little bit because our special guest of honor, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, will have to attend the Federal Executive Council meeting. And so, but we are also grateful that he has found time in his absolutely very tight schedule to be here with us. So we will invite him. He will present gifts to the young ones who have done well in the essay competition that was titled A Letter to Myself, Why I Chose to Stay Drug-Free. Then after presenting the awards, he will deliver his address. We'll have a group photograph with him. He will leave us, and then the program will continue. So without much ado, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome here the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, represented here by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, His Excellency Senator George Akume. You welcome yourself. Thank you, Department. So we'll start from the third position on the essay. Thank you. Please be seated. The third position will go to Fatima Idris from Erudite Comprehensive School, Dosima Road, Katsina State. That is a young lady. Congratulations to you. Collect your certificate. David, don't worry. Come up. Come up. David is going with 300,000 naira. Congratulations to you, David. Thank you. And now the number one, the champion, McCarthy Orishe Jugbomi Jesse, Greater Tomorrow International College, Arigidi Akoko, Ondo State. And McCarthy is going home. Let me call it in a way that it will sound big, 500,000. Yes. David and Fatima, please join us for photograph. Fatima, this one that you are beside the SGF, you plan to be SGF sometime in the future. Congratulations to you. Thank you. And so, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will now invite the SGF to the microphone to deliver his address.
President of the Senate, Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Godswill Akpabio Jusorian, ably represented by His Excellency Senator Dan Farmer, members of the National Assembly here present, the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, ably represented, the Permanent Secretary, Political and Economic Affairs Office, Office of the Secretary for Government of the Federation, Engineer Gajara, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of NDLEA, General Marwa COM, members of the Diplomatic Corps, representatives of the Inspector General of Police, and other federal security agencies, our development partners, particularly the Office of the UN ODC, represented by Sheikh Usman Ture, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you to read his President Admiral, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This CSI would have loved to be here with you today, but was engaged in another equally important national assignment. Please permit me to proceed with this statement. The World Drug Day is a day dedicated to raising awareness of one of the most pressing global challenges, that is drug abuse and illicit trafficking. This year's theme, The Evidence is Clear, invests in prevention. It's a wake-up call as it urges us to take urgent and decisive action and break the grip of drug abuse that has destroyed countless lives, shattered families, and undermined the fabric of our communities. This year's theme calls us to remember the damage the substance use has caused and recognize our responsibility, responding with courage, compassion, and coordinated action. Drug abuse respects no boundaries
in Nigeria. In Nigeria, as in many other countries, our youth, our families, our communities, and even our national security. Potential is wasted. Health systems are burdened, and the ripple effects travel across generations. The social, economic, and medical consequences are nothing short of devastating. Yet, are not resilient. We have seen communities pull together, health workers laid off, piloted, and people who were once caught in the grip of addiction rise again, stronger, wiser, and determined to live. Hence, it is our duty, not just as governments, but as fellow human beings, to ensure that the road to recovery is accessible and never obstructed. Faced with the challenge of this health, our response must be holistic. It begins, it saves lives, saves resources, and builds strength from the give people the tools to make informed choices. We foster healthy lifestyles and resilient communities. Communities that can revive must continue to invest in school-based programs, support grassroots initiatives, and launch nationwide campaigns that empower young people to live drug-free lives and to treasure a life filled with purpose and prospect. But prevention alone is not enough. Drug dependence is not a mailing, as we wrongly believed in the past. In Nigeria, we are working to expand treatment centers, train health professionals, and integrate drug rehabilitation into our broader public health system through our drug control master plan. But a journey, it is just treatment. It requires employment opportunities, safe housing, mental health support, defined by their past, but uplifted by their potential. A society where second chances are not rare alone. It must be a national movement driven by families, faith leaders, civil society organizations, youth groups, community leaders, businesses, and people with lived experience. Your voices matter, your stories inspire, and your leadership is essential. Each one of you has a role to play.